Less than 12 hours to go before that dramatic deadline set by US President Donald Trump expires, global attention is on what happens next. Trump has warned that a whole civilization in Iran will die tonight if the ultimatum expires. But Iran also showing no signs of backing down. In fact, it has reportedly rejected both Washington's demands and a proposed temporary ceasefire. Amid the rising rhetoric, tensions have been escalating in West Asia. A report by Wall Street Journal saying US military has hit 50 military targets on Karg Island, Iran's strategic oil hub. And this targeted action marks a severe expansion of the ongoing military confrontation in the Persian Gulf. The attack coming after Trump said last weekend that he is considering whether US forces could seize the island. IRG, meanwhile, issued a warning to US and its allies following the US strikes on Karg Island. It has threatened to deprive the United States and its allies of oil and gas if Washington crossed Tehran's red lines. It said that restraint is over, sparking fresh concerns of a severe disruption to regional crude supplies. Karg Island serves as Iran's main oil export terminal. It handles up to 90% of its crude shipments and offering storage capacity of around 30 million barrels, located about 26 kilometers off Iran's coast and 483 kilometers northwest of the Strait of Hormuz. Karg is often dubbed the Forbidden Island because of its isolation and heavy security presence. Last month, the U.S. struck military targets on the island. The strikes destroyed naval mine storage and missile bunkers, while oil infrastructure was largely spared. Hours before the deadline, Israel launched widespread wave of attacks across Iran. Israeli strikes across Iran have been targeting transportation routes, railways, bridges, major highways. Israel has attacked railway infrastructure across 4 provinces in Iran. At least 4 people have been killed, several injured in rail bridge strikes so far. Railway bridge in Iran's Qazvin, Zanjan, Karaj, Kashan have been targeted. Iranian authorities saying a US-Israeli strike shut down a key highway in northern Iran, connecting Tabriz with Tehran. Meanwhile, Iran has carried out multiple attacks across West Asia. Riyadh claims 7 ballistic missiles launched towards eastern Saudi Arabia were intercepted overnight, with debris falling in the vicinity of energy facilities. Simultaneously, the UAE and Bahrain reported engaging with Iranian missiles and drones. And as the fighting rages on, US President Donald Trump in his Truth Social post says, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will," quote unquote. Meanwhile, the US Vice President J.D. Vance, on the other hand, confident of a truce, speaking from Budapest, he says the plan is working. Vance claims the U.S. objectives in the war have largely been achieved.
The President's been very clear about this. There are 2 pathways that this thing is ultimately going to end. First of all, the United States has largely accomplished its military objectives. There are still some things that we'd like to do, for example, an Iranian ability to manufacture weapons that we'd like to do a little bit more work on militarily. But fundamentally, the military objectives of the United States have been completed. So that means, as the President has said, very shortly this war is going to conclude. And I think the nature of the conclusion is ultimately up to the Iranians.
And as the deadline nears, Iran says its allies will also close Bab al-Mandeb if the situation gets out of control. Senior Iranian source telling Reuters that if the US attacks Iran's power plants, the entire region and Saudi Arabia will fall into complete darkness. Remember, Trump's self-imposed deadline on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz ends at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. And Trump has warned that every bridge in Iran will be decimated. Further issuing threats to Iran's power plants, he has said that the attacks would be carried out over 4 hours. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.